Once upon a time, HP was a well-known company that even Steve Jobs looked up to. However, over the past 20 years, interest in the company has declined by over 60% due to missed payments, bribery scandals, and contract breaches. HP tried to enter the enterprise software industry, but overpaid for an acquisition and ended up writing off $8.8 billion. This forced HP to focus on survival, resulting in thousands of job losses and the splitting of the company into two separate entities, a personal computer business and a printer business. Despite shedding almost 250,000 employees, the company's financials have only gotten worse, with both companies having a significant chance of going bankrupt. But it wasn't always like this. HP used to be an electronics giant, and they were one of the first tech companies founded in Silicon Valley. The story of HP dates back over 100 years to a man named William Reddington Hewlett, or Bill Hewlett, who was born in 1913. Bill attended Stanford University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in engineering in 1934, followed by a master's degree in electrical engineering from MIT in 1936. He returned to Stanford to get a postmaster's electrical engineering degree in 1939. Bill's education not only gave him a strong understanding of engineering, but also led him to meet his lifelong friend, David Packard. David was born in 1912 in Pueblo, Colorado. Unlike Bill, David wasn't drawn to engineering from a young age. He was passionate about sports and spent much of his undergraduate years at Stanford playing basketball and football. After college, he settled for a job at General Electric in New York, but didn't stay long and returned to Stanford to get a master's degree in electrical engineering. Bill and David started working on small electronics projects in a rented garage using $538. They built things like frequency oscillators, distortion analyzers, and audio signal generators. About a year after they started working on these side projects, Bill and David decided to make the partnership official. The name of the new company was decided by a coin flip, and it ended up being called HP. The duo focused on commercially viable projects, which led them to audio oscillators. And from there, HP's business took off. HP would go on to develop more products, including the first handheld scientific calculator, the HP 35, and the first inkjet printer, the ThinkJet. HP's success inspired many other tech companies to be founded in Silicon Valley, including Apple, which Steve Jobs co-founded with Steve Wozniak. However, HP's success wouldn't last forever. The company would try to expand into new industries, resulting in missed payments, bribery scandals, and contract breaches. They overpaid for an acquisition and had to write off billions of dollars. This forced HP to focus on survival, which led to thousands of job losses and the splitting of the company into two separate entities. Today, both companies have a significant chance of going bankrupt, marking a far cry from the electronics juggernaut they once were. HP was once a leading computer company that dominated the market. However, over time, their business began to decline, and they struggled to keep up with their competitors. It all started when 8 PhD graduates, who had worked with Professor William Shockley, decided to ditch him and create their own company called Fairchild Semiconductor. This was a bold decision at the time, as semiconductors weren't considered an actual business concept. However, Fairchild Semiconductor ended up becoming a huge success and created dozens of smaller chip companies, including Intel and AMD. HP watched this all unfold and began investing heavily in semiconductors themselves. In the 1960s, HP partnered with Sony and Yokogawa Electric, but outsourcing chips to Japan turned out to be more expensive than producing them in America. This put HP one step behind Fairchild and eventually Intel. Despite this, HP continued to persist and eventually entered the computing space in 1966 with the HP 2100 and the HP 1000, which were mini-computers primarily used for business applications. HP found quite a bit of success in this area, but they didn't want to expand into the personal computer space. HP eventually entered the PC space themselves in 1980 with the HP 85, which was designed to be a direct competitor to IBM. A couple of years later, HP introduced a lineup of inkjet and laser printers, along with a lineup of scanners as well. By the 1990s, HP had become one of the largest companies in the world and registered the domain hp.com in 1986, which was the 9th domain to ever be registered. However, things began to decline for HP due to a combination of several smaller factors and trends, starting with the commoditization of PCs. The brand of a computer carried significant weight in the past, and people wanted a Dell, an HPA, or an Apple. But as time went on, this differentiation became less important, and people started to choose the best value for their money, regardless of the brand. HP struggled to compete with lower-cost alternatives from companies like Acer, and their profit margins were put all down to the low single-digit figures. HP did try to compete by continuing to pursue the PC and printer space year after year. However, they faced a similar crisis, and addressing the situation in a completely different manner would have been better. HP's biggest blunder was their attempt to take over Autonomy Corporation, an enterprise software company. HP spent $10.3 billion to buy a majority stake in the company, hoping that this would help them break into the enterprise market. However, the HP brand just dragged down Autonomy, and HP ended up writing off Autonomy as an $8.8 billion loss. At this point, HP's core business was declining, and all of their new endeavors were not only failing but also burning massive amounts of money. HP had no choice but to pivot. Do you think HP has a chance to pick up? This is Tech and Butter. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. See you on my next video.